Welcome back to the Girl You Need episode. My name is Emma Jane Punter, and today we are doing an episode all about overfunctioning and burnout because it's something that I see, it's something that I feel personally, it's something that is happening all around us. And I just think we need to talk about it a little bit more because it's killing us. Like this culture of just taking on way too much than our brain's capacity allows us to do is too much. And I'm going through a bit of a phase or a bit of a process at the moment where I feel like I'm shifting, and it reminds me of when I went through my low self-esteem journey and I felt like my eyes were open and I realized I had really low self-esteem, and I shifted into like a different version of myself. I feel like that's where I'm at the moment. I feel like my eyes have been opened to the fact that I've spent my whole life being an over-functioning individual, which we're going to talk about what that means. And I've felt burnt out for a long time, and I am shifting and I want to shed and I want to step into a new version, and I don't want to feel that way anymore. And I think a lot of you can probably relate to what I'm going to talk about today because we are all knackered. We are all constantly on. We've got this always on culture, and it's a little bit draining. And so today I'm just going to have a little bit of a solo episode. We're going to reflect on that. I'm going to give you some harsh truths about some of the things that you might be doing, and then maybe some journal prompts and some things that you can do to kind of work on that. And I know the podcast is now all about being fun, and it is a little bit of fun. We've got some fun things in the episodes that I think if you heard the last episode with Nathan Meach, it was just me fave. It was so good. It was so much fun. We had such a laugh. The studio is amazing, and I can't wait for future guests to become on the show. But I always like to do a solo episode with a little bit of reflection in there as well, because this podcast, is about growth as well. And I want us to be able to grow. And I think this is probably a topic that we probably need to talk about. So I'm trying to stick with the structure. I'm not going to put too much pressure on myself to follow it too much, because when I do that, I tend to, it stifles my thoughts and I can't flow as easily. But the things that we're going to talk about are, I'm going to talk about overfunctioning, what it is, because I actually only learned what this is very, very recently, like yesterday. And it was when I was doing this podcast and I was like, oh my God, I've never heard of that word before. And it just made so much sense. So it's kind of like changed what this podcast episode was going to be about, but it's super important. So we're going to talk about what is overfunctioning. We're going to talk about the signs that you are in a burnout and overfunctioning state, the trap of always on culture, the self-toxic traits that we don't talk about, but actually I'm going to hold a mirror up for you today, and you're going to be able to think about if this is how you're living your life. And then you can then take that away and think about whether that is something that you want to continue, is the word I'm looking for. Then we're going to talk about what are you without the performance, like who are you without this always on culture. And then we're going to do a little bit about letting go and moving forward, and then some journal prompts at the end. Okay. So what is overfunctioning? Right. Overfunctioning is basically when you are doing all the things for all the people. So you are constantly thinking about others. You are constantly doing things that are going to please other people, that are going to help other people. You are constantly taking on all the tasks that need to be completed, whether that be in work, in your business, in your podcast, in your home life, with your children, with your family. And it is just being always on and doing everything, instead of being somebody who says, you know, it's that phrase of holding all the monkeys or holding all the babies. Instead of saying, not my monkeys, not my circus, that is yours to deal with. When you're coming from a place of overfunctioning, you are doing everything. You're seeing a gap, you fill in the gap. You're seeing a problem, you're solving the problem. And you're just constantly running 100 miles an hour. You've got this always on culture, and this leads to burnout. And burnout is where you are non-stop, no rest, always running at 100 miles an hour. It also can come with feelings of anxiety. It's like Groundhog Day with anxiety. It's like constantly going, never stopping, don't know when to stop, always running super fast, and it's just never giving yourself a break. And when you're running in this state of overfunctioning, you don't have any time or space to actually think about, what do you want? Who are you as an individual? What are the things that make you happy? Because you're just on go mode. You're in masculine energy, you're running very fast, and you haven't got any space or capacity to slow down, stop, rest, think about what you want to do, and be the person that you want to be. And I actually have realised that obviously I work in the NHS, and the NHS is an extremely fast-paced environment. So some of it is kind of like my conditioning of working in that environment. And as an individual as well, if I've come from a place of low self-esteem, I'm quite an anxious person anyway. So my nervous system has always been in fight or flight mode. So when you're in burnout, when you're overfunctioning, when you're constantly on, you're living in this fight and flight part of your nervous system. You're not really in a free-flowing, rest, blissful period. You're not thriving, and you're surviving, and you're running on fumes, basically. And I think because I've always had this level of anxiety, and I've always not felt safe, and I think working in a hustle culture in the UK, we have this feeling of not feeling safe. We feel like we've got to always be achieving, being productive. Then it kind of promotes that overfunctioning burnout type of life. And all around us, there is a constant, in society, there is a constant drive to be more productive, do more in less time, work smarter, not harder, or whatever it is. And you just feel like you've got to do more. I know a lot of people who don't feel, if they have any moment to themselves, they feel like they're wasting time if they're not doing something productive. Like, I'll ask you, how do you rest? Do you struggle with rest? Can you rest? When you're not doing anything, how do you feel? Do you feel anxious? Do you feel agitated? Do you feel like you need to be doing something? Because that is a sign of burnout and overfunctioning and running on fumes. Like, not knowing how to rest is a sign that you're either in burnout or leading towards burnout. And I think I almost feel like I've not realised I've been that way until, like, it's been okay until it isn't. And I've just recently, I don't know what it actually is that's triggered this feeling of me just thinking, like, what am I actually doing burning myself out so much? What am I actually doing running like 100 miles an hour when it's not helping me? I've got physical symptoms. I suffer from migraines. I'm tired all of the time. It can make you emotional. Like, if you actually Googled burnout and the symptoms of burnout, it has physical impacts to your body. You might get ill a lot more. You might have a racing mind. You might feel emotional a lot of the time. So there's a lot of things that come with it. So if any of this is resonating with you, then, like, I'm sure it probably is, but let me know, and I just want to probably pause a second and just speak directly to mums, because I do think that when you're a mum, this is probably magnified twice as much, because you are the mum, you are the carer, you are the planner, you are the cook, you are the cleaner, the house looker after, you are the leader, you might be working, so you're an income earner, you've got to think about people in work. There's like so many hats that you have to wear, and I just think you don't deserve the mum guilt that you feel. You are doing an amazing job, and I just want to speak directly to mums, because I think all mums are super women, and for you to be a mum and think about everybody else in your household and a job and everything that I've mentioned, you deserve a medal, and you're doing a great job, and you don't deserve to be giving yourself mum guilt. It's not your fault that you've got mum guilt. It's the society that we live in where you have to do everything all of the time and overfunction. And you deserve a break. And I just want to say you are an amazing person. And I think even if whether you're a mum or you're not a mum, these things resonate with a lot of people, and it is probably a chance for you to reflect on that and just think about, because when you run 100 miles an hour and you don't have a chance to think, you probably don't even have time to think about what you actually want. You're just running on a treadmill. Like, we all know what that feels, and we just run on the overfunctioning treadmill. So some of the signs might be that you're replying to WhatsApps all of the time. Your house is spotless, but your mind is cluttered. You're working all day. You're tired. Productivity becomes your identity. So for the podcast, my goals would be things like post 3 times a day, do a podcast episode every other week, make sure you reach out to new guests, make sure you do the pineapple post once a week, make sure you do posts once a week on Instagram. And they're just lots of lists of tasks to do, and actually it's just an endless list. In work, the list is endless. The goals are endless. The amount of work is just ginormous. And you forget about, because you're so focused on the detail and the doing, you forget about the bigger picture. Where are you going? What are the things you actually need to be focusing on? You're not very strategic. You're very operational. It's the same with the podcast. You become very operational and you're not very strategic. It's the same with the home life. You're just operational. Instead of thinking about, I want to go to Japan. If I don't strategically plan going to Japan, it's never going to happen, because I'm so operationally focused on today. I don't really get the chance to think about the things that I want to do long term and then plan those things in. And, this constant sort of always on culture has a massive impact on, it's a society issue. It's not even like a internal issue. Like, we are addicted to our phones. We are, because we're always on, we've got social media messages, we've got WhatsApp messages, we've got WhatsApp messages, we've got emails, we've got Teams in work, we've got emails at home, we've got school messages. Like, there's so many things to always be on. It's a society issue. And because we're all heading towards burnout, if you're not already there, people are ill more. Mental health is massively on the increase. Mental health services are crumbling because they haven't got enough funding to be able to support the level of people that need support. Our brains are literally fried. This sounds like a real doom and gloom episode, but it's just like a chance to reflect. And I think it's just like, I am going through this phase of not wanting to be like that. And instead of focusing on the tasks, I want to focus more on the feeling of where I want my life to go, what I want to be doing with my life, what makes me feel good. And don't get me wrong, I'm not afraid of hard work. I have a podcast as well as a full-time job. I do this on top of a job. So it's not even a case of not wanting to work, because I love to work. It's just a case of having some things that make me feel good and also feeling good whilst working, and not just working for the sake of working. The mental health is on the increase. We've now got this pressure of well-being. What is well-being? Well-being seems to be hiking up Snowdon every weekend. It seems to be consuming all of the time. Well-being can also be viewed as just another chance of companies to just give you more things to buy and more things to stay on top of. So you've got to stay on top of your well-being now, as well as your work, as well as your house. Like, you've got to be spiritual. There's just all this pressure all the time. It's always on. That's not what well-being is. Well-being is feeling fulfilled. It is feeling happy. It is not feeling burnt out. So unless we start to kind of like break away from this over-functioning life, we are just going to head towards illness. And that sounds really doom and gloom, but it's true that without having the space and time to just have a break, our brains aren't made to run 100 miles an hour. And I was listening to a podcast on my walk today from Grace Beverly, and she was talking about, it's the episode on how iPhones are not making us sexy or something.
And she's talking about an article that somebody did about being addicted to our phones. And basically, we are all consuming to our phones, and it's such an epidemic that we are now just on that much. Our brains are switched on that much that our bodies, we're no longer in our bodies, we're just always in our minds. So our bodies just take us from A to B. We go from one meeting to the other. But we're constantly switched on with our brains. Even when we're listening to podcasts or listening to stories or watching something, the brain is constantly on, and we're no longer in our bodies. So we don't feel the niggles, we don't feel the aches and the pains, we don't tend to them, we just ignore them. These are signs to ourselves that something's not right. And I think when you don't attend to what's going on and what your soul wants, it comes out in your body. When you don't stop and have a break from brain burnout, you get aches and pains, you get migraines, you get cold and flu, you get ill. These are all related things. And, a lot of people now take their phones to the toilet because they can't stand sitting on the toilet and having nothing to do. We literally can't cope with 2 minutes of doing nothing. We are addicted to our phones, which is a whole nother topic, but we are addicted to our phones. And we are overfunctioning and burning out. So, okay. So, let's talk about some self-toxic traits that we don't talk about enough, which I actually didn't realise these link to this feeling of being an overfunctioning individual and always being on. And, you might be being called reliable and see that as a badge of honour. But actually, at what cost are you reliable to others? At what cost are you that person who is doing everything for everybody? The cost to me is burnout. And I also don't show it. I also don't show it to people because I want to be the reliable person. So there's sort of like 10 toxic self traits. And I'm not going to talk about them all. I'm just going to list a few. And then I'm going to just talk about the ones that stick out to me the most. So these are the ones that you might not even know you do these, but here's some self-toxic traits. So seeking validation over authenticity, number 1. And when I'm going through these, just think yes or no. Can you relate to that or not? And then I'm going to go through the 3 that relate to me the most. So seeking validation over authenticity. Number 2, avoiding hard conversations to keep the peace. Do you just go along with things instead of actually directly telling people how you feel? 3, overcommitting to be liked. Number 4, performing strength but bottling up emotions. So you constantly seem happy and strong and not really saying how you truly feel. Number 5, saying it's fine when it's not and then resenting it later. Number 6, being defensive to feedback. Number 7, people pleasing with hidden expectations. So if you've got high standards for the people and you're people pleasing. Number 8, creating false urgency or overworking for self-worth. Number 7, refusing to forgive yourself or others. And then number 10, tolerating behaviour that you tell your friend to absolutely run a mile from. So the ones that stick out for me, seeking validation over authenticity. So that's quite a big one, I think, for a lot of us, that we want to be, we're social beings. Humans want to be liked. We want to be in the tribe. We want to be part of the clique. That's why there's cliques. We want to be part of the group. And we are so scared of rejection that instead of holding our hands up and saying, actually, I don't really agree with what you're saying. I'm not comfortable with how you're speaking about this person. We keep it to ourselves because that's easier and we want to be liked. And, holding your hand up and saying, no, being your true self, being authentic, that is such a big step towards your self-worth. It's so easy to just people please and stay in the tribe. So that's a big one. The other one is overworking for self-worth. This is exactly what overfunctioning is linked to. In my eyes, self-esteem and overfunctioning are so interwoven with one another. I have overworked. The reason I've overfunctioned all my life, which is what I was sort of touching on earlier, was because of my low self-worth. So my sense of achievement, the things that I completed, the being a reliable individual gave me worth. It made me feel like I was confident. It gave me that feeling of self-worth. So I would do all the things for all the people because I was then reliable. And now actually I don't want to do all the things for all the people because it's almost like part of my journey, because I've built that self-worth up and I'm now at a point where I'm like, I like who I am, I know who I am, I know my worth. You know, if I'm not getting to all the things, it's not because I'm rubbish. It's not because I'm any less of an individual. It's just because I'm not going to bear myself out anymore. And actually, I know my worth. I know I'm good at things. I know I'm good at the podcast, but I don't want to bear myself out like I've done previously by just giving myself a long list of tasks to do that I can't do. The same in work. You can't do everything for everybody all of the time. You've got to just do the things that make the biggest impact and that make the biggest difference. And that might mean that some people, you let some people down, and that might mean that some people don't think you're very good, but that is just the way it is. That is the way it is. The other option is burnout. And the other thing was people pleasing. So people pleasing gets you nowhere. You cannot be your true self if you walk around pleasing other people. Just stop people pleasing. I've realised that even if you do everything for everyone and make everyone happy, there's still going to be some people that don't like you. So you may as well just be yourself and let people like you or not. Does it really matter if people don't like you? Not really. It's not going to stop you from being employed. It's not going to stop you from having a nice life. You're just going to be around the people that really like you. If people don't like you, so what? Literally, so what? I actually can't believe, looking back, how much I used to care about this. And I feel like if you are somebody who people pleases, start working on that. If you want me to do a whole episode on people pleasing, let me know, because I would happily do something on the things that you can start doing to stop being a people pleaser. Start saying no, start putting your boundaries in. And the funny thing is about people pleasing, once you start setting boundaries and stop saying yes to everybody and start saying no and start looking after yourself, the people that can no longer take advantage of your boundaries and no longer take advantage of you because you've got boundaries in place don't like you anymore. So it's kind of like, were they true people in your circle if they'd only like you when you're just being a people pleaser? You know, just throwing that out there. And the funny thing is, I don't know how I'm going to link this, but I'm going to link this in. Since not drinking as much anymore, I've kind of like realised, it's really weird because I have started to realise more about who I am because my brain's not as cloudy. So I've started to like step into more about the person that I am, the person that I want to be. And I actually like this person. I don't need to drink. I don't need it for confidence. I don't need it socially. I don't feel the need to have validation from other people. And I'm just starting to realise my own self-worth a lot more. And it's weird how that links to drinking for me. Can't quite explain that, but it just does. And I think I always used to use drink as just like that was my release, that was my fun. And now I'm like, no, I actually don't enjoy drinking. I've cancelled or said I don't want to do some plans because I'm like, I don't want to drink. My body rejects it. I don't enjoy doing it. I don't. One glass of Prosecco, yeah, but other than that, I'm all right. I'm not into it. And then I'm just doing other things that make me happy, and it doesn't include drinking. It's really weird. I'm not even preaching about it. I'm just like, that's just something that's linking to this for me because I'm not on this treadmill of like going to work, doing all the things, overfunctioning, feeling burnt out. So then I'm drinking to release myself from the burnout, to relax, and doing it again, filled with anxiety because I've been drinking. It's just a weird cycle that I'm not into anymore. And I think because of all that, I'm like stepping into this new version of myself, and it's weird. It's interesting. It's good. I like it. Okay, so let's talk about who are you without the performance. One sec. Again, let me know about this structure. If it's working or not, holla. Who are you without the performance, right? And what do I mean? Like, I'm a hippie at heart. So what I was just saying, then I've realised I'm a hippie at heart. My values, actually, the more I'm like stepping into myself, the more I'm realising I am not a masculine energy kind of woman. I am a hippie. I'm a hippie with a mic. Do you know what I mean? I feel like that's going to be my new mantra. A hot hippie with a mic. Like, I'm not a masculine energy running 100 miles an hour doing everything for everybody person anymore. I'm just not that person. So, and now that I'm not that person, I don't feel like I'm performing. I don't feel the need to perform. And like, who are you? So when you're at home and you're just on your own, who are you? Who are you when you're not on? Who are you when you're not managing, when you're not people pleasing? Like, who is that version of you? And like, you might not even know the answer to that question yet, because how do you know if you're constantly switched on? Do you know what I mean? How do you know who you are if you constantly go, 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 go? But I'm going to put some journal prompts later on for you to just start thinking about that. And if you don't know, that's fine. But this is just like maybe a start for you to just start thinking about digesting these things, because your growth journey, your personal development, it just doesn't happen overnight. So I now know who I am, and it's a hippie. I'm a hippie. The connotations that you might think to a hippie might be different to me, but I am a hippie. I'm a free-flowing, creative, loving person. So the hustle culture does not match who I am. There's like this jarring feeling that I've got where it's just not matching. I'm like, oh, it's hard work to be that person and perform. And that is what drains me. The hustle culture, the overfunctioning, I've realised drains me because it's actually not who I am. So there we go. So ask yourself that, who are you? And be brave enough to start to be the person that you want to be. It's really weird. I've had like snippets of the person throughout my life where I've like met people who have brought out this like creative side to me, but I've always put it away because I thought it was a little bit sad or weird or gay or stupid or not popular, or do you know what I mean? And actually now I'm like, actually, I don't really care. I don't actually care if it's not popular or if it's not cool or I'm not in the clique. I'm not bothered. I'm way happier being myself than trying to be someone I'm not. Yeah, all for that. So, okay, so we're going to talk about letting go and living lighter. I feel like just talking about this is like a little bit of a therapy session for me, just talking about shifting into this new version of yourself. It's great. And do you know what I'm going to do after this? I'm going to go and do a pole session. I'm going to get in my body. I've got a new pole set. I've got thigh-high boots for my birthday. What a dream. And I'm just going to go and pole it out because this is the day for me and I'm loving it. So let me just think about what I want to say here. Okay, so we're going to end with just letting go and living lighter, and then I've got some journal prompts. Okay, so listen to this episode. Think about, what would it look like for you to let go? What can you let go of? What can you actually let go of? Like, so I'll relate it back to me to give you an example. I'm letting go of feeling like I have to post an bloody post, even though I don't do this, by the way, because I forget. But I'm getting rid of the goals. I am no longer having all these bloody goals, these tasks that I have to do every month where I'm like, okay, post 3 times a week, publish a podcast episode every other week. I don't have to do that. I don't have to put that pressure on myself. I don't have to do those things. So I'm letting go of them. I'm letting go of the goals. I'm doing the goals that I feel like I want to do. I'm not doing the goals that I'm telling myself I've got to do because what? Like, what is the outcome? What am I doing it for? I'm just doing things for the sake of doing things. Am I doing it for reach? Not really. Am I doing it for growth? I think I am, but yeah, I don't know. Like, I don't even know. That's why I'm stopping doing them. So think about all the things that you're doing and ask yourself, what are you doing them for? It was just a really weird journal that I was doing yesterday. And I was like, what am I actually doing these things for? Why am I doing 3 posts a week for the podcast, which I don't do? Like, why am I telling myself every month my goal is to post 3 posts a week and giving myself a task that I'm burnt out with and I don't want to do? So I'm just going to stop doing them. So what could you let go of? Like, do you have to have a spotless house? Do you have to do well-being all the time? Do you have to go on that hike? Do you have to, do you know what I mean? You will know what I mean when I'm asking you these things, but what can you let go of? Because think about your traits. Think about how you are in work. Think about the person that you want to become. Do you really have to do all the jobs that you're doing? Really? Do you have to do them? Like, what would your life look like if you stopped doing some of them and just took the pressure off? We live our life like we're gonna die next year. Like, we've got years and years and years to live the life. There's no rush, okay? There is no rush. We're on this floating rock in the universe, literally on this floating rock in the universe, which is a magical thing. We're in this beautiful world. There we go, being a hippie. We are these beautiful creatures that are here, these beautiful humans, putting pressure on ourselves. That's not what we're here to do. We're not here to be burnt out, okay? We don't need to burn ourselves out. Don't outsource your self-worth by your outputs. Your self-worth is not attached to how much you do. Your self-worth is attached to how you feel about you. You might be carrying trauma. You might be carrying lots of anxiety. You might be filled with low self-esteem. Like, where you are on your journey, you could be where I was at the beginning of these podcast episodes, where I just opened my heart to you all and told you that I am this anxious mess, okay? You might be there. You might be before there, where you were living like me, drinking, smoking, partying, doing it all, and just not... You might even be oblivious to the fact that you might not even be self-aware, is what I'm trying to say. Like, the self-awareness comes first. You might not even be aware that you need to work on these things. You know, who knows where you're at, but hopefully this podcast episode is giving you a little bit of even just a little takeaway to think about it, because you don't deserve to feel burnt out. You don't need to overfunction all the time. You just need to live your life for you. Oh, it's exciting. I love it. I'm so excited. Right, let's just finish with some journal prompts. Bitch, please. Okay. Sorry, this was quite a deep and meaningful episode, and it's like a therapy session for me. Sharing the personal growth is like a therapy session for me, and I love it. And I know you do too, so yay. Okay, let's go with the journal prompts. What have I got for you? I've probably said some of them. Ooh, here's one, right? And you can come back to this episode when you've got time to journal, and you might forget. So set yourself a reminder in your phone to come back to this episode at this part of the episode. Take a picture of the minutes that it's in so you don't have to listen to it all again, and think about journaling this. In your notes, in your phone, write it down, do a voice note, however you want to journal, just do it. Okay. What parts of my identity are built around being the reliable one or the strong one? What would happen if I let those roles go? Deep. Okay, next one. If I stopped trying to be liked by everyone, what would I start doing differently? Love that one. I literally love that one. What would you do differently? I'd work less. I would work less. I want to work a part-time job, I'm not going to lie. I want to work 3 days a week and that is it. But I can't do that yet. So that's that. What are 3 things that I'm carrying that are not mine to hold? Whose approval or expectations am I trying to meet? Who are you trying to meet? The funny thing is about your self-esteem journey is When you love yourself, it actually doesn't matter. I don't know if it's like when you get into your mid-30s as well, that you're just like, I don't give a shit. Like, you just stop caring what other people think. Oh my God, your 20s, you are obsessed with how people see you. And you get to your 30s and you're just like, whatever, Trevor. Next one. What does rest look like to me when it is not tied to productivity or guilt? Do you struggle to rest? Do you actually struggle to rest? Is that a thing that you struggle with? Like, DM me, let me know. I want to hear it. What am I afraid will happen if I slow down? So I was listening to a podcast episode by the Law of Attraction woman who's amazing. And she's my idol. And if my podcast is anything like hers in the future, I've made it. But I need your help to do that. You got to share, baby. Anyway, and she was talking about burnout, actually. She was talking about burnout. And she was talking about the guest that she had on was talking about her clients. I think she was a coach, where one of the women, mum's client, she was a client who was a mum, and she felt like she was afraid of letting go. If she let go, she felt like she owned this like 7-figure business, and she felt like if she let go, she was going to end up on the streets with tins of beans and her kids homeless. Like, that was her fear in her head, and that was what was driving her. So getting into what you're afraid of is actually quite an important thing to do, because it realizes where you're coming from. Like, what are you afraid of? It might be afraid of rejection and people not liking you. That is what is like one of the most popular fears in society. We are afraid of rejection, so we just live this person that we're not actually this person. So ask yourself that. And then, is that fear true, or is it just a story? What belief do I need to, last one, what belief do I need to release to stop overworking for self-worth? Let me ask myself that one. The belief that I need to release is that productivity is my worth. Doing tasks is not my worth, is my worth. Like, being productive is my worth. That's probably the belief I need to let go of. And that's the one I feel I'm letting go of, because I'm stepping into my hot girl hippie with a mic era. Yeah. Okay, so I hope you enjoyed that episode. Like, let me know. I want to hear from you. I still haven't done many pineapple posts. I know that is something that I want to do. And again, I'm not putting the pressure on myself. Sometimes I just forget because my brain is ADHD, but that is fine. Let me know. I want to hear from you. How does it hit? Tell me what's going on for you, because it's a really important episode about overfunction and burnout. It's one that we need to grow together on. It's one that we need to talk about more. So I look forward to hearing what you've got to say. As ever, thank you very much for listening to the podcast. I love all the DMs and the messages that you send to me about the podcast. It lights me cup up to know that you are getting value from what I do. And please subscribe, please follow the podcast, give me reviews on Apple Podcasts. If you could do anything and you want to help me, give me a review on the Apple Podcast, because that's where quite a lot of people are listening to it, which I didn't realise. So that's good. And share it with your friends, share it with your family, share it on your socials, tag me in it. Love you forever for doing that. And have a great day, and I will see you very soon. Bye.